Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie starts with a woman named Carol Bennell, in an abandoned and messed up pharmaceutical store, looking for pills that will keep her awake. She takes different pills, and drinks energy drinks to stay active. She has locked herself in the store, and now she hears loud banging on the door, which only gets louder and louder. It sounds like there were people outside the store, who were trying to get in the store. Carol keeps on convincing herself forcefully, that she must not sleep, and she needs to stay awake. The scene shifts back to the beginning of what is actually going on. A space shuttle hits the Earth's surface. It leaves a trail of debris across the United States. Even though the government warns the people to stay away from the debris, as they suspect that it could be infected, some people touch it. Later on, the CDC director, Tucker, appears at the scene of a huge debris pile, where the government has enclosed it as a contamination zone. Tucker learns that a fungus-like alien life form has clung onto the space shuttle, and arrived at Earth. When Tucker leaves the scene, he touches a piece of debris, and accidentally contaminates himself. When he arrives home, his dog comes to greet him, but abruptly growls and goes away. He doesn't think much about it, and goes to bed. While sleeping, Tucker is trembling, and his whole body is strangely altered. Carol, Tucker's ex-wife and a psychiatrist, who is living with her son, Oliver, gets a call from Tucker, who demands to see his son. However, Carol refuses and hangs up. Later on, Carol sees her friend Ben before going to work. She tells Ben about Tucker's call, and discloses that he has never been a good dad. As Carol arrives at the office, one of her patients, Wendy, is waiting for her. Wendy, who has an unstable relationship with her husband, reveals to Carol that her husband has changed. He even killed their dog, and dumped it in the garbage. Carol is surprised, and gives Wendy a new prescription. On Halloween evening, Carol and her friend take their kids outside in the neighborhood. As the kids arrive at the house, the dog inside starts to bark continuously, at Carol's friend's son Andy. When it follows and attacks him, the boy doesn't seem scared at all. Surprisingly, he gradually grabs the dog's mouth, and purposely squeezes it. After bringing the boy home, Carol senses something wrong with Andy, as he seems disconnected from the others. She also notices a strange kind of skin sticking on Oliver's hand, and carefully puts it into a bag. The next morning, Carol hands Ben and Stephen, a scientist, the skin sample she obtained, and asks them to investigate it. Later on, we can see the TV is broadcasting news about a strain of harmful flu. The scene shifts to a meeting room, where Tucker is holding a press conference, stimulating the vaccine to contain the flu, while some servers with blank faces start spurting their saliva into the beverage, which will be served to many people at the conference. In the evening, while Carol and Oliver are going to Tucker's place, they encounter a woman, who stops her car and begs for help. When she continually talks about the threat among people, and is about to run away, she gets hit by a van. Frightened, Carol moves toward the woman, but a cop tells her to leave. Carol and Oliver ultimately go to Tucker's house, where he appears, and welcomes them with an inexpressive look. He asks for Carol to come inside, but she has to leave for a party soon. Later, Carol and Ben attend a friendly party, which is held by Henrik, a Czech diplomat, along with his wife Lottie. Meanwhile, Oliver chills with his friend, Jean, and reveals that something is wrong with his father. As Oliver enters the house, Tucker offers him a hot chocolate that contains his saliva. At the party, Carol is sitting next to Yorish, the Russian ambassador in DC. Later on, they start debating the violent nature of humans. While Yorish claims that humans cause violence and war around the world, Carol's replies that even though we still have some animal instincts, human awareness is changing completely. The following day, Carol receives a video message from Oliver, telling that he is at school. On the way to work, she recognizes more people with blank expressions, behaving strangely. At the workplace, after learning that Wendy Lenk hasn't come in a few days, Carol gives a call to Wendy, but her husband Richard picks up the phone, and tells her that Wendy is sleeping. After experiencing a strange chain of events, Carol starts looking for similar events on the internet. Strangely, many others also admit that the people around them have changed. She then accepts a call from Ben. The scene shifts to the hospital lab, where Stephen starts to break down the sample Carol brought to him the other day. He discovers that the sample includes some highly resilient spores, which take over a human's body when they enter REM sleep. It incorporates the victim's DNA, and reprograms genetic expression. Unexpectedly, Ben receives a call from Lottie, worrying about Yorish. Ben, Stephen, and Carol promptly rush to Lottie's house. They find Yorish lying on his bed, completely covered in a horrible appearance. As Carol starts to take a photo, Yorish wakes up and assaults her. Ben pulls Yorish out, and he crawls out of the room, until he dies because of the REM sleep interruption. Sensing something bad will happen to Oliver, Carol instantly rushes to Tucker's place. As Oliver is nowhere to be found, Carol storms out to look for him. Tucker and his colleague corner her in the kitchen, and ask her to join them. It is revealed that Tucker is one of the first ones contaminated. He used the CDC to spread the spore, disguising it as a flu vaccine. Carol is stunned after learning the truth. As he resists, Tucker holds her down and spurts his saliva on her, intending to infect her. Moments later, Carol runs to the street calling for help, but no one replies. Then, she enters the subway, while accepting a message from Oliver. It turns out that he was brought by his father to an unknown place. Soon, Carol starts to worry, because she can't send a message back to Oliver. Just then, a strange man on the train tells her to calm down, and show no emotion, to fool the infected. In a while, a group of infected people walks in, as a woman in the cabin stands up and fights back. The non-infected, like Carol, start to run to another cabin, and try to stop them. Ultimately, Carol manages to escape from the train. After making it to the ground, Carol attempts to keep calm, and shows a blank face to fool the infected. Carol meets with Ben, Luddy, Stefan, and Luddy's aide Jill, and witnesses Yorish's transformation into one of the infected. Carol attempts to take a photograph of him, partially bringing him out of REM sleep, and causing him to have a cardiac arrest. Carol then leaves to get her son back from Tucker. When she arrives at his house, he and his colleagues attempt to seize her, and he infects her by spitting on her face. She escapes and returns to Nem at Luddy's house. They leave when Henrik returns, infected with some other people. Stefan and Jill safely arrive at a base outside Baltimore, where they and several Nobel Prize winners attempt to make a cure for the alien virus. Carol and Ben separate to find Oliver, who tells Carol his location by texting her. She is chased by several infected people, and pretends to act infected, when Jean, Tucker's neighbor's child, finds her. He takes her back to Tucker's mother's house, where the four dine. Carol pretends to be one of them, and secretly tells Ben her location. She finds Oliver in a back room, and they reunite. Jean interrupts them, and Carol knocks him out, and leaves with Oliver. She sees several normal people attempting to pose as infected, including one woman who is dragged out of her car, another who two cops chase down and subdue. To help stay awake, Carol heads to a pharmacy, and takes an assortment of prescription amphetamines from Ritalin to Dexedrine. She calls Ben, and tells him her location. In the meantime, Carol also discovers a room, where she finds many other infected people reconverting. After walking out of that room, she gets a gun, and tells Oliver not to open that door. Hours have passed, yet Ben hasn't come. Despite trying to stay awake, Carol starts falling asleep. Oliver attempts to talk to Carol, and wakes her up. Eventually, Ben shows up, but the two realize that he is also mutated. Ben opens the locked door, letting the infected go out. He then starts to convince Carol to join the new society, as the infected are offering a better world with no crime, war or chaos. However, it also means that there is no place for people like Oliver, who are immune. Helpless, Carol shoots at the infected Ben, and runs away with Oliver in a car. On the way, she receives a call from Stephen. Unfortunately, Carol crashes on the way, and slowly falls asleep. The infected surround the car, and try to break in. Oliver wakes Carol up, and both start running. He tells Stephen their location, while his mom is driving the car. Stephen follows them in a helicopter, and tells Carol to get to the top of a building nearby, where they will pick up the two of them. Carol and Oliver ultimately reach the building, while dozens of the infected are chasing them. Finally, they make it to the top floor, and are rescued by Stephen. They head with Galeano to the base of operations. Scientists use Oliver's blood to create an airborne vaccine. Because the spore latches onto the brain during REM sleep, no one remembers a thing when they are cured. They feel as though they have woken from a dreamless nap. 1 year later, the media and reporters are now chasing Galeano, and asking him about the vaccine, and the whole situation. Galeano tells the reporters that all of the people who were infected by the disease are now gradually recovering due to his vaccine. Ben and Carol muse over the pod people, and their emotionless kind, when they read the daily paper. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications and leave a like to help the channel out.